It started as a joke. I'd been buying lottery tickets for years, mostly out of habit, never expecting anything. But that week had been rough. My husband, Tom, and I were fighting about money again. Bills piling up. Credit cards maxed out. He blamed me for spending too much on nonsense, while I pointed out his impulsive purchases and the fact that he still hadn't found stable work. So when I bought the ticket at the gas station after work, I wasn't thinking about winning. I just wanted to feel a little hope, a tiny escape. That night, Tom was out with his friends, networking, as he liked to call it. I stayed home, curled up with leftovers and a cheap bottle of wine. I almost forgot I had the ticket. But just before going to bed, I checked the numbers, and everything stopped. I stared at the screen, blinking, comparing each number twice, then 3 times. I had won. $5 million, I gasped, the kind of sound that comes from deep inside, a mix of disbelief and terror. I reread the prize amount, the claim instructions, and the fine print until the letters blurred together. Then I sat in silence. You'd think I'd scream, dance, call someone, maybe my husband. But I didn't. Instead, I turned off the TV. I put my phone face down, and I just sat. Because in that moment, one thought hit me harder than the winning numbers. I can't tell Tom. It wasn't out of spite. It wasn't out of greed. It was fear. Over the past year, I'd watched my marriage slowly change. Tom had become cold, secretive. His career hadn't taken off like he promised, and his confidence turned into resentment. He made me feel small when I asked questions, like I didn't understand how things work. And I did understand. I understood that money made him reckless, that if I told him, the money wouldn't stay ours for long, so I didn't tell him. The next morning, I called, in sick to work. I drove to the lottery office with trembling hands and a baseball cap pulled low over my eyes. I signed the forms, took the photo, and requested the lump sum payout. I had it sent to a new account, one he didn't know about. When I got home, he was still asleep. I made coffee, kissed him on the forehead, and pretended nothing had changed. But everything had. Because now, I had $5 million in a secret account, and a husband I wasn't sure I could trust. For the next few weeks, I lived a double life. On the outside, I was the same old Emma. I still packed Tom's lunch, still showed up to my receptionist job at the dental clinic, and still clipped coupons like every dollar mattered. But inside, I was a storm of nerves and whispers. I checked the bank app every morning just to be sure the money hadn't disappeared overnight. Every time Tom glanced at my phone, I panicked. I deleted search histories obsessively, real estate listings, investment strategies, luxury getaways, all the things I never dared dream about before. At night, I lay beside him wondering if he would feel betrayed, if he would yell, or worse, smile and spend it all behind my back. He kept talking about needing a new car, a guy from his gym with a business opportunity, and maybe, just maybe, booking a trip to Vegas to get his groove back. Every conversation made my chest tighten. He didn't know we were millionaires. He didn't know I no longer needed to budget our groceries or pray for discounts at the pharmacy. And maybe that was the problem. He didn't notice anything. One evening, I brought up the idea of cutting back. I said, "What if we started saving more aggressively? Just in case?" He scoffed. "We already live like we're broke. What more do you want me to cut? Air?" He wasn't totally wrong, but he wasn't listening either. Then he said something that stuck. "If we ever hit the jackpot, I'd be out of here so fast. You wouldn't see me for dust." I laughed it off, but it echoed in my head for days. That's when I started planning. My escape, not because I wanted to run, but because I needed a plan B. Something that didn't involve asking permission. Something that gave me freedom, security, and silence. I met with a financial advisor in secret. a woman named Clarissa. Middle-aged, sharp eyes, no nonsense. When I told her everything, the money, the secrecy, the fear, she didn't flinch. She simply said, "You have power now. You just have to decide what to do with it." She helped me set up a trust, move the money safely, and even talk to me about long-term options, buying property, starting a small business, securing my future without anyone else's name on it. I'd never felt more terrified. I'd never felt more alive. And all the while, Tom stayed exactly the same, impatient, reckless, dismissive. He still asked me to borrow money from my savings. He still acted like I was the one holding him back. He didn't realize that the woman he was sleeping next to every night was no longer the same. It was a Saturday morning, and Tom burst through the door holding a handful of lottery tickets. "Today's the day, babe," he shouted, throwing them on the kitchen counter. I smiled politely, wiping my hands on a dish towel. If only he knew. He scratched the tickets with the same desperation he always had, like one of them was a ticket out of his own bad decisions. None of them hit. He cursed, crumpled them up, and dropped them in the trash. "You'd think with my luck, I'd have something go right for once," he muttered. I bit my tongue. Hard. That same afternoon, Clarissa sent me an email. The investment we made in a small rental property had officially closed. I now owned something. Just me. A little 2-bedroom unit in another town. No one knew. Not even my sister. That night, Tom asked to borrow $5,000. Just for a few weeks, he promised. There's this guy with a sports betting system. He's made bank. It's guaranteed. I looked at him and saw the same man I married, but now through a different lens. It wasn't just about the money. It was about how he saw me. As a resource, not a partner. "I don't have that kind of money," I lied. He didn't believe me. He didn't yell, but he smirked, like I was the joke? "That's rich. You've been hoarding every penny since we got married. What are you saving for, Emma? A tombstone?" That night, I couldn't sleep. Not out of guilt, but out of clarity. This wasn't a marriage. It was an arrangement he thought he controlled. The next week, he announced he'd taken out a loan in both of our names. He needed cash fast and figured I'd understand later. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I contacted Clarissa. We took legal steps. I separated everything I could. Emotionally, I had already left. Now I was catching up with the paperwork. Then came the final straw. I came home early from work one day and found him in the living room with 2 of his buddies, laughing about how he'd married the safe option and could probably ride it out until he cashed in her retirement. They didn't even flinch when they saw me. I don't know if they were embarrassed or didn't care. That was the moment I decided it was over. Within 2 weeks, I had a place to stay, my accounts separated, and my legal protection set. Tom didn't understand. He thought I was bluffing, but I wasn't. "You don't love me?" he asked. I didn't answer. Some truths are too big to say out loud. Divorce wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Tom didn't fight. He didn't beg. He just looked at me with this mix of confusion and pride, like he couldn't believe I had the guts to leave. Maybe he thought I'd come back. Or maybe deep down, he knew he'd already lost me long before I packed that last box. He didn't know about the lottery. He didn't know about the apartment. He didn't know I'd been planning for a life without him for months. But I did, and that made all the difference. Moved into the rental unit I bought under my own name. It wasn't much, a modest space with second-hand furniture and cheap curtains. But it was mine. Every square inch represented freedom. The first night I slept there, I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I finally felt safe. No more tiptoeing around his moods. No more financial secrets or emotional manipulation. Just silence. And peace. With the lottery money still untouched in a high-interest account, I had options. For the first time in my life, I had real choices. I didn't go on a spending spree. I didn't buy luxury handbags or flashy cars. Instead, I funded a small scholarship program for women over 30 returning to school. Just 3 women to start. But it felt right. Tom, on the other hand, spiraled. He lost the apartment. His credit tanked. Eventually, I heard from mutual friends that he was sleeping on a buddy's couch, still chasing the next big win, blaming everyone but himself. He called once. Just once. "Why didn't you ever believe in me?" he asked. I wanted to say, "Because you never gave me a reason to," but I stayed silent. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer. As for the secret, yes, I kept it. To this day, no one, not even my closest friends, knows I won the lottery, and I don't plan on telling. Because the money wasn't the real win. The real win was remembering who I was, rebuilding myself from the ashes of a marriage that drained me. Loving someone isn't supposed to cost you your identity. So now, I live differently. I don't lead with trust. I lead with clarity. And if someone ever asks me again, "Do you believe in love?" I'll smile and say, "Yes, but now I believe in myself more."